I analyzed 50 different Etsy shops across multiple categories to figure out one thing: what is actually selling in 2026? And in order to determine this, I looked at review velocity, bestseller badges, search volume, product consistency, niche focus, and pricing patterns. And what I found was pretty straightforward. Certain types of products are consistently outperforming others, and certain shops are positioned in a way that makes sales almost inevitable. And some common assumptions about what should sell just aren't holding up anymore. So in this video, I'm going to be breaking down the exact patterns that I saw and what's working, what's quietly dominating, and what you can apply to your shop if you're a fellow artist or maker. Hi, I'm Sterling, the artist here behind Cactus Lady Creation, and here on this channel, I share my insights from running my small art business, as well as from my research. So if you are interested in that, definitely make sure to join up with me each week. All right, so the first pattern that I noticed is that personalization is definitely dominating in 2026. Out of the 50 shops that I reviewed, a significant percentage of the highest click-through rates were customizable handmade items. And this showed up across multiple categories, from custom birth flower jewelry to name-based wall art, personalized wedding gifts, custom pet portraits, to engraved keepsake boxes. The listings that were performing the best made customization pretty obvious, and they showed photo variations, they included example names, clarified exactly how to personalize. There was zero friction in understanding how the buyer could make it their own. Personalized products were consistently priced higher than similar non-custom versions and still generating steady reviews. One reason is because buyers aren't comparing them to mass-produced alternatives. They're thinking of them as meaningful gifts or meaningful personalized purchases. Now, something else became really clear while I was researching all of these shops. The sellers who are building long-term brands are not just relying on marketplaces alone. Many of them are building standalone websites alongside their Etsy. And this is where your domain name really matters. .store is a domain extension that's made specifically for online shops. So just like a .com, but built for e-commerce. It immediately signals to customers and even to search engines and AI that your website is a store. And this kind of clarity really reduces hesitation. Even major brands and public figures like Mr. Beast, Rihanna, and Emirates Airlines use .store domains for their e-commerce. And right now, you can grab a .store domain for just 99 cents. And you can use the link in the description box below, as well as my coupon code CACTUS. So if you're getting serious about building beyond marketplace-only sales, this is a really simple way to look more professional and position yourself for growth. The second major pattern that I saw is that niche shops are outperforming broad something for everyone shops. And the highest performing stores were extremely specific even. Instead, they were positioned like gothic home decor or minimalistic neutral baby accessories, Dungeons and Dragons dice accessories, teacher appreciation gifts only, or book lover themed items. And this kind of specificity makes everything stronger and more cohesive. The photography is intentional and the product line just makes sense altogether. And because that niche is narrow, the marketing was easier. So when someone landed on these shops, it felt like, oh, this shop is for me. In contrast, the more general shops had scattered product categories, inconsistent visuals, and weaker identity, as well as they're competing with drop shippers and even shops that are clearly buying from Temu and then reselling. And so niche clarity increases conversion because buyers don't have to work to understand who this piece is for. And here's what's really important to know. Niche doesn't necessarily mean small. Dungeons and Dragons is a niche, teachers are a niche, plant lovers are a niche, pet parents are a niche, but each of those niches contain thousands and hundreds of thousands of average views and purchases. Another pattern that I noticed is that functional products are quietly outperforming purely decorative ones. And when I looked at the shops with the most consistent sales, many of their top products weren't just statement pieces. They were practical items that people can use regularly. So some examples are planner stickers instead of decorative stationery, or a mug instead of sculptural ceramics, and even pet accessories instead of novelty pet decor. While decorative items are often just one-time purchases, they're gorgeous, but they don't naturally generate repeat demand unless you're selling seasonal drops or a collectible series. And another thing that I noticed is that functional products tend to sit in that lower to mid price range, which reduces price hesitation and also increases impulse buying behavior. So if someone is trying to reach consistent $1,000 months, functional products create more predictable cash flow than high ticket decorative pieces alone. So that doesn't mean stop making art at that higher tier price, of course. It just means consider pairing art with more functional pieces. So a crochet wall hanging, for example, might sell occasionally, while a crochet washcloth or laptop sleeve or even a coaster is more likely to sell more often. The fourth pattern that I noticed was being in a pricing sweet spot, and the shops with steady sales were rarely the cheapest, actually. In fact, many of them were priced slightly above for their category. What they did really well was justify this price. Their photography was strong, the descriptions were clear, the branding was cohesive, and the reviews reinforced quality. The pricing was also intentional and strategic. In contrast, the lowest price shops often struggled with positioning. When pricing looks inconsistent or undercuts the market dramatically, buyers can sense that, and the Etsy algorithm also takes notice of that. Another thing I noticed was successful shops built pricing tiers. They had entry-level products under $20, mid-tier products in that $30 to $60 range, and even premium items which were above $80. And this kind of structure really increases the average order value. For example, someone might come into your shop for a $16 item and then add a $38 item because the pricing ladder just feels really natural. And so the shops that are leaving money on the table are the ones that are pricing strictly based off of material cost instead of perceived value and branding as well as demand. It's really good to have strategic positioning with your products. If your shop looks premium but your prices are too low, for example, it'll make people wonder what is wrong with your products. So clear positioning also supports confident pricing. The fifth pattern had less to do with the products and more to do with traffic. The shops with consistent sales were not just relying on Etsy search alone. Many of the top performing stores had external traffic sources, and you could see that in their branding, their photography style, and even in their product descriptions. They were clearly optimized using a platform like Sales Samurai or Everbee to make the most of keywords. One common driver that I observed within Etsy were Etsy ads, of course, but I also noticed that a lot of the listings were being updated pretty regularly. In fact, on the exact day, if not the day before, I was looking at each of these listings. So updating your listings very often must do really well with the Etsy algorithm. Also, having standalone websites outside of Etsy really helps increase brand authority and help your shop rank in search. So this really matters because relying solely on Etsy puts your revenue at the risk of the mercy of algorithm shifts and keyword competition, as well as marketplace saturation. And you can risk no traffic or sales to your shop at all. But shops with outside traffic have more control. They can launch new products directly to their audience, and they can even build anticipation a lot easier. And in 2026, the shops that treat Etsy as one sales channel, not their entire business, are more stable. Marketplace visibility creates discovery, but having your own audience outside of the platform allows for sustainability. And this distinction showed up very clearly in the data that I saw. So after researching 50 Etsy shops and studying what's actually moving in 2026, here is what stood out. Personalization is dominating. Specific niches outperform broad shops. Functional products create more consistent revenue than purely decorative ones. Confident tiered pricing supports stronger margins, and also shops that have external traffic are more stable than the ones that are solely relying on Etsy search. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to give it a like and also subscribe and join back up with me each week for more videos like this. And also make sure to check out the Entrepreneur playlist next. Well, thank you for watching, and I hope you'll join me over in the next one.